Dibs, Kelsea Ballerini's adorable dog, died last week and she is still grieving for him. In addition to providing an update on her health, the former The Voice coach shares a compilation of endearing Dibs moments. Ballerini shared a post on the A Dog Named Dibs Instagram on January 14 via her Instagram stories. "A week without my Dibby" was the description for the devastating post, which contained a number of pictures and videos of Dibs. "I miss him always." Messages about missing Dibs and heartfelt support for the singer were posted in the comments area by fans. "Sending you all the love and support, Kelsea," wrote someone another. One fan said, "Can't believe it's been a week without Diddy. He was adored and will always be remembered. I'm crying when Chase tells Dibby it's Mother's Day. He knew he was so loved by everyone," said others. "Dibby is pain-free now, and I'm sending you so much love." One follower wrote, "The most precious and special baby boy ever. He was a unique individual, right down to the definition. He's in heaven now, watching over you and thanking you for the love you always gave him," said a different commenter. "It's his turn now. You were always his angel of protection." She captioned the photo, saying, "My sweet Dibs went to doggy heaven yesterday. He was encircled and visited by his forever people as he spent his final days in his backyard, gazing at the sunshine. His significance in my life is beyond words, but I couldn't have survived the past 10 years without him. He will always be my soul dog, and I pray and think we'll cross paths in every life." She went on, "Here are some happy moments from Dibs, but his love and reach cannot be expressed in a caption or an Instagram photo dump." The singer said, "Thank you for loving him so loudly with me. Being his dog mom is the best gift I have ever received, and I feel like the luckiest girl alive." She posted additional pictures and a video of Dibs later that day, writing in the caption, "Smiling and crying looking through all my Dibby memories. We spent a lot of time together. I'm going to continue posting all of his joyful moments on Adult Nemedibs." The weight of Kelsea Ballerini's tragic but silent update to her fans was much greater than any headline. She expressed in a few candid words what many people feel but find difficult to express: the pain of losing a loved one, and the protracted bumpy process of figuring out how to cope with their absence. She wrote, "I miss him every second," which was a straightforward statement that said a lot. This moment seemed very personal to an artist whose work has been based on storytelling, emotional truth, and vulnerability. Even the most talented composers struggle to communicate the language of pain, but Kelsea has always used her music to let audiences into her inner world. This was neither a well-crafted stanza nor a polished lyric. It was an honest, unvarnished emotion that was shared without regard for pity. Grief doesn't come in a tidy package. It throws off schedules, rearranges priorities, and transforms everyday occurrences into unplanned reminders. That reality can be particularly complicated for Kelsea, whose life frequently takes place in the spotlight. She is used to letting followers in on her happiness, accomplishments, and artistic turning points. However, sharing loss calls for a different type of courage, one that is based on silence rather than attention. People who are close to Kelsea are aware of how important family has always been to her feeling of stability. She has discussed how her upbringing influenced her beliefs, fortitude, and conception of love in interviews throughout the years. Family was always the foundation, not simply the background. When someone from that foundation passes away, a void is left that can only be honored. There was no timetable, no narrative arc, and no attempt to provide a detailed explanation of the loss in her update. And maybe the most honest part was that there are no neat answers for loss. It is a presence that may be felt in quiet, in recollections, and in times when your heart longs to stop moving while the outside world continues to move. Fans reacted with an outpouring of empathy rather than requests for additional details. Many related their personal experiences of losing loved ones and discovering that grief changes rather than goes away. Something significant occurred during that conversation. Kelsea's vulnerability turned into a mirror, reflecting back a universal human experience that goes beyond celebrity. Grief might feel both familiar and unfamiliar to someone whose job requires emotional openness. Although Kelsea has always written on development, change, and sadness, personal loss adds a new perspective. It's not about letting go or finding closure. It's about sustaining love in the absence of the one who inspired it. Kelsey's artistic abilities have developed in tandem with her life experiences in recent years. In certain aspects, her music has become more subdued, while in others, it has become more daring. She has allowed for complexity and contradiction by leaning toward emotional subtleties rather than absolutes. She now discusses grief as something to coexist with rather than something to overcome, thanks to the same method. Not every second is painful just because you miss someone every second. It frequently indicates that love has assimilated into life's background. It manifests as shared tendencies that you were unaware of, in ideas you feel compelled to express, in those successful moments that don't feel complete without a familiar voice joining in the celebration. Kelsea faces particular difficulties in juggling bereavement with a hard job. When someone passes away, tours don't stop. Emotional processing is not naturally accommodated in creative timetables. However, artists frequently discover that loss unexpectedly changes their work. Songs become more profound. Performances get softer. Perfection gives way to presence and meaning. Making the decision to continue without acting as though nothing is wrong has a subtle strength. Kelsea's update was honest rather than depressing. It accepted suffering without allowing it to completely define her. Many followers respected and acknowledged that balance between carrying grief and living. Those who have followed Kelsea's path are aware that she doesn't back down from emotional honesty. She has publicly discussed self-discovery, healing, and change. But grief is not a chapter that closes nicely. It is an enduring thread that undergoes textural changes throughout life. It might be sharp on certain days. On other days, it is mild. However, it is always there. Kelsea has long used music as a means of coping with her emotions. Although she hasn't said whether this loss will appear in any of her next songs, fans are certain that when she does, it will be with genuineness rather than show. Pain has never been viewed as a performance by her. Rather, she views it as a means of connection. Fans frequently turn to popular celebrities for inspiration or resiliency during difficult times. However, Kelsea's message contains something more subdued and possibly more significant. Permission to miss someone without hastening the healing process. Permission to recognize that love grows stronger rather than weaker after a loss. Selectively sharing grief also has an intimacy to it. Kelsea was genuine but maintaining boundaries by providing only a glance. She refrained from provoking conjecture. She urged empathy. This distinction is important, particularly in a time when people frequently use their personal suffering as a source of satisfaction. Success can also be reframed by grief. When weighed against personal loss, accolades, chart positions, and adulation can seem far away. However, they can also acquire new significance as times to honor, commemorate, and perpetuate someone's impact. That reinterpretation frequently becomes a part of the creative process for artists such as Kelsea. The vocabulary of grieving frequently shifts throughout time. The love never changes, even if the sharpness softens. Even though it doesn't always hurt the same. Missing someone every second always serves as a reminder of how deeply you were bonded. That connection shapes how you love, create, and navigate the world, becoming an integral part of who you are. Kelsea quietly and gracefully went back to her work in the days that followed her update. She did not conceal her anguish or make it her identity. Rather than making a big deal out of it, she let it coexist with her life as an undercurrent. That decision demonstrates self-respect and emotional maturity. Her supporters still stand by her because she is human, not because she is strong. Kelsea's admission of her loss served as a reminder to many that being strong does not equate to being silent. Sometimes it entails speaking honestly and quietly, even when words seem inadequate. As she moves forward, bearing the burden of both love and sorrow, Kelsea Ballerini stays true to her essential identity as a genuine storyteller. Although this period of her life is characterized by loss, it is also characterized by connections, between music and memories, between performers and listeners, and between past and present love. Miss him every second is more than just a lament. It is a declaration of unwavering affection. And by sharing it, Kelsea gave something incredibly relatable. A reminder that love never dies, it just finds a new way to endure.